This presentation is something of a quick start guide to help acquaint you with Cinedeck file-based recorders. First thing, let's look at the back panels. This is the back of a 2-channel RX3G, and this is the 4-channel MX. Both are pretty basic and similar to what you are used to from traditional tape machines. I have an RX3G here, so we'll be using it as our example. Connect some HD SDI sources to the video inputs. If you have an SDI monitor, connect it to the outputs. You can optionally connect an HDMI, VGA, or DVI data display for a larger view of the user interface. If you like, you can also connect a standard USB keyboard and mouse. Power on your Cinedeck so we can walk through some of the basic setup procedures. As noted earlier, I'm using a 2-channel Cinedeck RX3G. This is the main multi-view screen, which for this RX has 2 sections, one for each channel. The MX is the same, except it has a quad multi-view. Beyond that, the functionality is virtually identical. The first thing we'll do is turn on the mouse cursor. Seeing the cursor will make this presentation a bit easier. Touch the Setup button, and then, at the top right, touch the Prefs tab to open the Preferences page. On the far left is the button to activate the mouse. And a small tip, Control-Enter on a keyboard toggles the mouse cursor visibility on and off. The top row of the Setup screen has all of the tabs for the various setup pages. Now that we can see the mouse, the first thing we will do is go to the Inputs page. Both RX3G and MX have an auto-detect function. Click it, and you should see the signal lamp go green. The settings should also change to reflect the signal you have coming into your deck. In this case, my source is 1080i 5994. At the moment, we are looking at channel 2 of my RX. Up at the top right corner, we have a channel selector. Switch to channel 1 and run the auto-detect function to confirm that there are indeed 2 proper signals coming into the deck. Now we can walk through some of the other settings. Channel 1 also detected a 1080i 59 source. For the format, we can see it selected 8-bit, which is fine for this session. We need audio, and I know this source material has 2 channels embedded in the SDI. Of course, AES is also possible, as both RX3G and MX can accept 8 channels of AES per video input. Analog audio can be connected via USB. Let's switch to the Channel 1 master page to set up the master encode. In this case, I'm going to select DNX HD. DNX 145 will be fine for our needs today, and we will wrap it as Avid Native MXF Op Atom. Next step is selecting audio channels, which we access by touching this matrix display. I can see there is live audio on channels 1 and 2, so let's turn them on. If there were additional channels, you could go through and select the ones you need to record, and it should be noted that you can adjust the recording levels here as well. Click the Save Back button to return to the previous setup screen, and we can confirm that we have selected channels 1 and 2. Right now, the system is set up to do a single file write to one of the internal SSD drives. One of the most important Cinedeck features is redundant recording. This allows you to generate 2 master files to 2 destinations. In a later session, we will look at recording to external or network drives, but for now, we will just use the internal SSDs. You also have the option to record using the rollover function, which will utilize 2 destinations for a single recording. When the first destination is full, the current file is closed and recording continues on the second drive. I'm going to set this back to redundant for now. Next, let's set the proxy. On RX3G, the only proxy option is H.264. For the proxy on MX, you can choose between ProRes, Avid, Cineform, or H.264. For this session, I'm going to leave the proxy set to main, but we could select an encode more appropriate for mobile devices. Let's set the SDI audio for the proxy. Channels 1 and 2 are all I have available. Note the warning that the H.264 encode can accept a maximum of 2 audio channels. Now let's save it. Back on the proxy setup page, we will set redundant recording to drive 1 and drive 2 like we did for the master. This will give us a master and proxy on both drives. Let's take a quick look at the Projects page. The Projects page is where you can set the folder and file names for your session. Initially, you will only see the default project named 1. All systems create numbered defaults, so in a pinch, you could skip creating your own project. Let's create a new project by clicking Manage Projects and New. I will call this very uniquely Demo. Save it and select it. The right side of this section allows you to customize the folder and file name details, which we will look at in depth in a separate session. Let's move to timecode. For this session, I want to use the source SDI timecode coming from the machines I have playing. Of course, there are options to use internally generated timecode, LTC external timecode. Cinedeck also supports iRig timecode, as well as time of day. The last thing we're going to look at is the overview page, which gives you a total picture of everything happening with a channel. Here we can see that the encode is DNX145 in an Avid native MXF wrapper. The destination is the demo project folder on a local SSD, and so on. What we will now do is set up channel 2 using all of this information. Let's go to the top right to the channel selector again and toggle over to channel 2. Down at the bottom, we will select Copy Settings from channel 1. Now all of the settings from channel 1 have been applied to channel 2, and we are ready to go. Let's save this and drop back to the main screen and look at it in more detail. First thing, at the top left of each viewer is the channel indicator. Clicking or touching the channel indicator toggles that channel to single channel mode. At the top left, next to the channel indicator, is the master proxy encode overview. In the middle, we see the project and file naming. On the right is the destination drive information with the volume names. Clicking here will toggle to show the drive letters, and click again to see actual ports or drive positions. Of course, you can also see the total and remaining space on the selected drives. Going down the right side, there are several buttons. Record, Solo, and Gang we will look at in a moment. You can toggle the character out on and off, which overlays character data on the Cinedeck display as well as the SDI out. You can select full screen mode, which fills the 7-inch display with video. While in full screen mode, if you touch the screen, the controls reappear so you can change settings or return to the normal view. There is a 100% setting, which switches the display into 1:1 pixel mode, allowing more accurate image evaluation, and you can also move the viewable portion to concentrate on a particular area. Analysis gives you access to the scopes, clipping detect, and edge detect or focus assist. The scopes can be displayed full screen or in overlay mode. You can select luminance, R, G, or B, as well as RGB parade. With the waveform, you can also change the reticule markings to indicate percentage, a digital scale, or traditional IRE. Let's drop back to the multi-view by again touching the channel indicator at the top left. Continuing the tour, to the right of the channel indicator is the sync display, which would light green if the channel is referenced. Moving right to the timecode, the orange numbers represent the timecode source. In this case, the incoming SDI timecode. The blue numbers will show the elapsed time when a recording is in progress. On the right is the record button. Solo means the channel is controlled independently of the others. Gang ties the channels together to be activated in record simultaneously. The character out, setup, and stop buttons. It should be noted that stopping a recording requires a long press, which will help prevent accidental stops. Across the bottom is the codec and file name overview. Along the left side is the play button, the master headphone level control, and a toggle to open the monitor control screen where you can select the channels to monitor and adjust their relative level. Let's exit the audio monitoring section and go ahead and activate a record. Gang is turned on for both channels, so they simultaneously go into record mode. Looking at the timecode display, you can see the elapsed time is now running. We can still select the channel indicator to go into single channel mode, where we can access the various analysis tools. In order to switch between tools, long press the current tool button to open the menu. Click the channel indicator again to get back to multi-view. Remember, a long press is required to stop a recording. If we select play, the last recording is loaded, and you are presented with basic transport controls to play, forward fast, and rewind. You can grab the red play pointer and scrub through the content. There is a loop playback function, as well as in-out limit pointers, which can be set to restrict the current playback segment. There is also a step mode, which allows you to move through the clip frame by frame. If you click Open again, you move to the Clip Manager, which allows you to select one or more clips to play back using the Play Selected function. There is also a Play All in Folder function. The Clip Manager has a multitude of additional functions, which we will look at more carefully in a separate presentation. Pressing one of the play buttons, or back, brings us back to the play screen, and pressing back again brings us to the main standby multi-view screen. And that's the basic operation of a Cinedeck. Your workflow, your way.